Hello and welcome everyone to the 11th edition of Anubhav. Welcome. You can say hello in the chat box and you can let us know from where you are joining today. We are excited to see you and meet you. Some journal announcement before we starting. So you can please keep your microphone off or mute when not in use. And you can keep your video on so that we can see each other. And this session is supposed to be interactive by end. You can keep your video off and stay tuned in case you're facing any trouble in network or network instability. So regarding open house Q&A by end of the session, you can either raise your hand or unmute yourself at your turn and ask a question, or you can simply text in the chat box at the moment you have the question during the running session, and we can take that question by end of the session in the open house discussion. So let's start. So welcome everyone. We are Unima Puppeteer Trust India, the Indian National Center of the International Association of the Puppeteers. So Unima means Union International de la Marionnette, which serves as a vital platform for exchanges and networking, bringing together people who practice puppetry, work in this art form, and shape a deep passion for this ancient craft. We are present in more than 90 countries. Unima stands as the oldest international theater organization in the world, fostering connections across continents and cultures. Our global mission and UNESCO affiliation, we are a non-government organization officially affiliated to UNESCO, working to preserve and promote puppetry worldwide. Our members across from the world actively contribute to development and evolution of puppetry as a living art form. We support meeting, conferences, exchanges, and collaborative opportunities across all areas of puppetry and practice. Unima supports practitioners working across the full spectrum of puppetry applications, creating opportunities for collaborations and knowledge exchange in multiple disciplines like therapy, teachers training, research and documentation, collection, and exhibition. Our digital publications, Sutradhar, our e-journal, are exclusive digital publication released twice a year, featuring in-depth articles, research, and insight from puppetry world, available for free download at our website. Link is given on the screen. And another publication, newsletter, with regular updates, keeping our community informed about the events, opportunities, and developments in puppetry across India and internationally. Both the publications are available on our website. So our comprehensive video archives showcase the rich diversity of Indian puppetry traditions, offering free access to documentaries, talk, masterclasses, glimpses of all previous Anubhav sessions. This digital library serves as an invaluable resource for students, practitioners, researchers, and enthusiasts worldwide. Our YouTube channel is like having documentaries, masterclasses, and Anubhav sessions. At the link is YouTube/@Puppeteers Trust. Our Instagram, you can follow us for the constant updates and visual storytelling and events forward. We are present on Facebook too with @Puppeteer Trust. And for any query and membership ahead on collaborations, you can reach out to us by writing on our email puppeteertrust@gmail.com. Introducing Anubhav. So Anubhav is a unique initiative by Unima Puppeteer Trust India, where we meet puppeteers, master practitioners, one-on-one live on an online platform. Anubhav means experience in Sanskrit, a fitting name for the sessions dedicated to sharing living wisdom and practice. Who we meet in Anubhav? Each Anubhav session brings us face to face with extraordinary individuals from across the world, the puppetry spectrum. We meet master puppeteers, explorer practitioners, trainers and mentors, therapists, filmmakers, enthusiasts, and so on. Our vision through Anubhav is through intimate one-on-one conversation. We aim to know each other more closely, drawing inspirations and learning by sharing our diverse experience. This exchange strengthens our community, creating a better network with deep, strong roots that support the growth and flourish of puppetry art for generations to come. Join us in this journey for connection, learning, and celebration of the puppetry. So we have in our 11th edition, the guest of the day, Karen Smith. She's the member of Unima International Executive Committee 2012 to 25, serving as its Vice President 2016 to 2021 and President as on 2021 to 2025. She previously was President of Unima's Publication and Communication Commission 2010 to 2016, its Publication and Contemporary Writing Commission from 2016 to 21, and was a member of Unima's North America Commission and Research Commission, and is currently a member of Unima International's Asia Pacific Commission and Heritage Commission. She now serves as co-president of Unima's Publication Commission 2025 to 29, focusing again on the enrichment of the organization's encyclopedia, a work that entailed from 2010 to 2017, overseeing preparation of the second edition of Unima International World's Encyclopedia of Puppetry Art, that is WEPA, utilizing the original French language printing version, Encyclopédie Mondiale des Arts de la Marionnette, as the point of departure. The expanded, update, and illustrated as encyclopedia was released online on September 2017 in 3 languages, English, French, and Spanish. The last titled Encyclopedia Mundiale del Arte de la Marionneta. You can see the website wepa.unima.org. The trilingual WEPA will now receive its second update in time for Unima's centenary in 2029. So she is the veteran puppeteer, former president, Unima International, Unima Publication Communication Commission, honorary member of Unima USA, Unima Australia, and Unima India too. We welcome you, ma'am, for today. Thank you for joining us and agreeing to be on board. So welcoming our moderator of the day, Ms. Ranjana Pandey. She is Indian veteran puppeteer, playwright, theatre, television director, and educator. She is the managing trustee of Unima Puppeteer Trust India and the chief editor of our e-journal Sutradhar. She has trained in puppetry under France Jagnew and theatre Parachute Brussels, Theatre Toon, and Theatre Tippelin Brussels. She is the member of the Asia Pacific Commission on Puppet Arts, the Commission on Preservation of Puppetry Heritage, the Committee of Puppetry at Sangeet Natak Academy, and the Committee of the Ministry of Culture for approval the grants to performing arts. She is the co-founder of Jan Madhyam, a CSO working towards the inclusion of economically disadvantaged challenged children. Presently, she is on working faculty of several teachers training institute, a trainer to primary school teacher and special educator. She teaches at the master's program in traditional forms of communication at MCRC Jamia Millia University, New Delhi. She has written, designed, and directed several performances and a TV serial called Kullam Khulla, which was telecast on Doordarshan. We welcome you, Ranjana ma'am and Karen ma'am. So this is Anubhav 11. Here we start And over to you, Ranjana ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Manish. Now, since I paid attention after a long time to all that was being said about me, I realize it has to be edited. And there are so many things which are historical and no more true. But I will share that with you later on and you can edit it.
Sure.
Thank you, Manish, for this beginning. Welcome, Ratnamala. It's lovely to see you after such a long time. And welcome, Karen, on this
Hi.
platform. Yeah, lovely. So now I want to show you, you're all looking at Karen Smith. Take a close look at her, please.
Hello, Karen Smith.
Yeah.
Hello,
I hope you remember me.
Of course, I remember many of you. Lovely
And
to see.
now, Karen, I'm going to show, with your permission, a surprise picture of you just to make everybody sit up. After lunch, everybody is going to sleep, but they better wake up because here is somebody they need to look at carefully.
Aha. So who is that, Ranjana?
Now, this is Karen Smith in one of her journeys, which has brought her this far. I'm sure none of you knew that Karen had learnt with great application and hard work Kathakali from a grandmaster. You tell us about it, Karen.
Well, I was the woman behind me who was to perform Lord Krishna. She is my sister-in-law, Gayatri Chopra, and she talked me into taking classes in Kathakali. Before that, she talked me into taking classes in Bharatanatyam. So they got increasingly more difficult for me. As I told her, I can't even dance in, ballet, and here I am trying these extremely difficult dance art forms. But my guru was Sadam Balakrishnan, and he taught Kathakali at the Kathakali Center in New Delhi. And most of his senior students were women. He really supported women to learn Kathakali. Most were from the Kerala community, whose families were based in New Delhi. Gayatri, my Punjabi sister-in-law, loved the performing arts. And so there's our Punjabi, and then there's this Australian. And we were both students of Sannam Balakrishnan. And this was in the 1980s.
Yeah.
And later on, I worked with Sannam Balakrishnan. He wrote a book on Kathakali, and he wanted it in English. So I was his amanuensis, if that's the correct pronunciation.
So that's absolutely wonderful. But this was not the first time that you had a connection with Kerala. I think you had come to India before this. And it was your earlier training in theater and literature which brought you to India. You want to go back in time and tell us what you were doing?
Well, at university, I was an English, theatre, and French student. They were the subjects I studied. So there was a lot of literature. And in theatre, most of the literature was European puppet literature, drama. So after I graduated with my honors degree in those three subjects, I did a master's degree, and I wanted to focus on learning about Indian theatre. And that's how I first came to India in late 79 through 1980. I was a 7-month, 2 trips actually, a 3-month and then a 4-month trip, because I fell in love with India. People looked after me like their sister or their daughter. And they took me in and treated me like a member of their family. So that was my first journey to India, which...
Yeah. So now there's a lot of theater in whatever you explained to us up to now, like literature and theater and... But how did you come across puppetry, and what made you switch from theater to puppetry?
Well, in 1982, well, in 1980, 79, 80, I did see one of Dadi's shows, and that was Rangala Rakshasa, which was a wonderful performance with mainly with amazing rod puppets. But when I first lived in India for my first 5 years, 1982 to 1987, I had my master's thesis, my master's degree. What was I going to do with myself? And I thought, well, puppetry, let me go to the Sri Ram Center and to see if they would accept me as a volunteer, because it's theater. Puppetry is theater. Plus, I just fell in love with what I saw of that production. And also my background in, well, I love making things with my hands. So, puppetry has it all. It has theater, and it has, making the puppets, and has music, it has dance, it's storytelling. And, Dadi's plays were ostensibly for young audiences. But over the years, if you had seen his plays, the parents would bring their children. But of course, the parents fell in love with his theater as much as the children.
And this was in the basement in central Delhi, near Mandi House. There's a place called Sri Ram Center, and the basement was dedicated to this puppet theater. And it was really the visionary owners of this cultural center who invited Dadi to start a puppet repertory company in the basement. And that's where Karen Smith landed up. Shall we see some pictures of that time? Manish, can you show us pictures of the SRCC puppet repertory
Sure.
experience that Karen had? And again, it's a question mark. Let's try and find Karen in the pictures.
Yes, Panna Bharat Ram was, from the...
Panna Bharat Ram, God bless her soul, she's no more. But yeah, she was the person who set it all up. And Dadi had just come from, I don't know where.
Sweden. I think
And this was one of the first things that he got. Here you are, Sri Ram Center for Art and Culture. And this was the team that was working together.
Yes, can you see Dadi there? There's Dadi, there's Puranbhat, there's Bachi, who was our senior Rajasthani.
That's Puran. And bring the cursor down to Dadi. This is Dadi, right? So it was a mix of contemporary puppeteers, young theatre people, and traditional puppeteers as well.
Yes, and again, in the contemporary theatre, Dadi was working with the Bhatts. Nathuram was a Bopa.
That's right.
Then there were Nepali, children of Nepali, Madhu, and
yes. And that's Jagdish Bhatt, who's holding Motu.
Yes, as Bachi.
The puppet. Yeah, this was a play called Motu Ki Mooch.
Yes.
Am I right? And which year was it now?
I think that I joined in 1982, so that was probably 1980. Dadi would know when.
Yes, that's right. It's around that time.
It was 79, 80. But Rangala Rakshasa, Motu Ki Mooch, and Nektar Junta were three of the early
performances. Yeah. And I think the Delhi audiences, Karen, for the first time, were seeing this new kind of puppetry, where the puppeteer was revealed and the puppets were in front of them, and it was still proscenium. So they had not seen puppetry in a proscenium setup until then. It was mostly out in the open, and it was traditional Kathputli in Delhi. That was what used to come. And so it was absolutely fascinating for the children and the audience.
Yes. And again, Dadi had studied in Sweden. He also took classes with one of the Japanese bunraku masters. So, you know, he had seen a lot of theater in Europe, in other Asian countries. It was like the modern theater that was happening from the late 1960s, 70s. You know, where you have Badal Sarkar and Mohan Rakesh and Girish Khanna, Vijay Tundulkar, not Ayappa Panika, in Kerala, who were using, you know, going to the traditional theatrical forms of their region, but also telling modern stories and, you know, a wonderful blend and, you know, of kind of non-naturalistic. It was the 60s, 70s, and 80s were a very, very interesting, powerful time in the theatre world in India, including in the puppetry.
And you were part of this. And did you have any problems slipping into this role?
No, really. And it's because people accepted me. They took me in. They didn't see me as somebody strange. And there were things that I could do. I was pretty good at sewing and simple painting. I'm not much of a carver, but you know, I worked with Dadi and Puran. This is my sister-in-law, Gayatri. She came. She choreographed kind of a bunraku style large puppet, and that was the one before. And again, here's Dadi and I were painting The Little Mermaid. That was the one show at that time that was directed by not by Dadi, and it was a Swedish of East German origin director, Gunther Wetzel, and he did The Little Mermaid. And this was when I was Dadi asked me to, because it was much more European in its aesthetic. So this was the show where I, being, you know, not Indian, I was asked to make the costumes and to paint the faces. So, you know, I went to like traditional storytelling. Again, here we performed Saturday night and Sunday matinee. Monday we had off, and then Tuesday, you know, through to Sunday, we worked in our basement studio. But yeah, so I made, you know, all the costumes for the Little Mermaid, plus the costume for our narrator figure. And again, there's me with, as you could see, they're more European-y style with Madhu Thapa.
And you made all these costumes?
I made all the costumes and I painted all the faces.
Mm-hmm.
And the heads were, you know, kind of ovoid. They were like ovals, a little bit of definition. You could see the nose. But yes, so I made the costumes in kind of a, you know, it had this European storytelling. Here's the prince and the princess.
That's right.
So, and I did the hair. So this is where there's Gunther there. It was all string puppets. It was the first kind of traditional European style, Western style string puppetry, you know, as distinct from the Kutputli. You don't see her here. The character of the witch, that was like a glove and rod puppet. So again, these are just more pictures of the team back then, and this was 82 to 85, and then Dadi went freelance. He did a number of the festivals of India, I think in Sweden, in maybe in Washington, D.C. You know, this was in the mid-80s.
I think this particular theater changed its nature a little bit, and they began to invite directors to come and create new performances so that there was more variety. And so then Dadi kind of moved out of the Sri Ram Center
And he
repertory.
created his own, his show,
Created his own. That's right. Yes.
and the annual festival.
Mm.
And I performed in one of his shows, which was also featured in 2003, I believe, was a very important year in all of the performing arts in India, because there was a 50th anniversary of the Sangeet Natak Academy. And so throughout the year, you had festivals for, Sangeet, for music, for dance, for actors' theatre, and for puppetry. Ajit was there. His company from Kerala performed. And there were, I think it was 11 days for the puppetry festival. And I was invited, and again, Dadi was the one who always kind of pushed me to, volunteer whatever skills I had. I prepared the program notes, based on all of the information provided by the puppet companies to the Sangeet Natak Academy for the festival. And
so, Karen, what we're seeing now is that not only did you jump into puppet theatre, but you also jumped into making and enhancing and using your wonderful skills, hand skills for it. And then you began to research and to write about Indian puppetry as well and participate in that. So that's quite amazing. So what came next?
Well, after Dadi, you came next, Matthew.
Yeah.
So do you want to say anything about that? I mean,
well,
that
I just
was
want to
really special.
I want to just say that, puppetry at that time in the city of Delhi there were two sides of the same coin. There was proscenium, which Dadi was so good at, high artistic value and very select audiences and paid shows. And what I was doing was the other side of the coin, which was performing in village squares, in schools, and just about anywhere under the tree sometimes. And the shows were free, and it was for community, it was for children, and the whole take was not just entertainment, but it was development communication, as we call it now. And that's what Karen stepped into. And I had very high expectations from her because I had seen this, multifaceted person. And I said, Karen, I'm shorthanded. I just need a co puppeteer because I was really shorthanded. And so I didn't give her a chance to say anything. I just put a puppet on her hand and I said, there you go. She said, but I don't speak Hindi. I said, okay, we'll find a way around it. The dialogues are simple enough. You write it out.
Yeah, can you hear me? I think Ranjana has frozen. But yes, without these plays, I didn't have many speaking roles. I probably had no speaking roles. I did sing in some of the plays. But with Ranjana, we performed our little show. She will talk a bit more about that. You probably know more about her history. But for 6 schools or institutions or centers for the challenge for children, young people with learning challenges. And so this was a huge challenge for me because it was just Ranjana and I. And the two of us did this, I think, for 2 years, 85 to 87. We had 6 schools every week, and this went on for 2 years. And I think, you know what Hindi is like. There's all those aspirated and unaspirated consonants. I'm sure I was saying a lot of gobbledygook, most of the time, mispronouncing words. But we managed for 2 years to do our regular Chokupili shows. And these were very simple little stories that we would create. As Ranjana said, I'd have my script pinned to our little cloth screen. And because we had older, children or young adults, we had little kids. So we really, each week we had 3 different shows happening. So it was very difficult to learn every word, you know, for every single show. And again, each week we would do something else. But they were very simple kind of learning concepts, situations, problem solving. And we'd always do exercises after music, singing, dancing. Neither of us can sing very well, but and it, you know, it was amazing. And this, again, this is all, you know, the brainchild of Ranjana. And so that we also did shows. Are you back, Ranjana? We also did shows for about the awareness, community awareness of the person with disability, because this was. Okay, thank you, Manish.
Maybe we can see the images side by side. Your work with Ranjana, ma'am.
Yes, it was a series of 4 plays. This was a major project that the Central Social Welfare Board out of Delhi took on, dealing with the burning issue, literally the burning issue of violence against women. This was in 1985, and it was a 2-year project. And 4 companies were chosen from North, South, East, and West India. And Ranjana and I represented North India with Jan Madhyam. And so this is one of the plays. Again, I was stronger at making puppets than I was certainly in my dialoguing. This was one of the plays on violence against women. The issue was literacy, or the lack of literacy, especially for women, and at the time, rural women. I think literacy rate. Oh yeah, go back. These are Ranjana's puppets, but yeah, go back. So this play was about literacy and how being illiterate really disenfranchised the individual, and this really impacted, Indian women. We did a play. We had to create 4 play scripts, and so the 4 companies throughout India. In total, there were 16 play scripts that was created that the Central Social Welfare Board and NGOs could use in their own programs on violence against women. And the idea was also that we would teach them how to use puppets. But this was a very important project because it was in the forefront of society at the time, certainly, being based in Delhi, it's the capital city of the country, and with, cases of dowry deaths, being the most kind of, horrific of the violences against women. Are you frozen?
No,
Manish?
I'm Manish, and I'm back.
I'm back.
Good, Ranjana.
Yeah, I'm back also because something went wrong as I was warning you, Manish.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, Karen, it was a very exciting time for all of us because we felt that we were putting puppetry into a space which made it very, very meaningful and very vibrant. It taught us a great deal, whether it was working with those intellectually challenged children or working with deprived communities. It sowed the seeds for Jan Madhyam. I don't know if you know, Karen, but you were very much a part of the beginning of an entire NGO which has survived for 40 years because of the groundwork we did in puppetry in communities.
Yeah.
So this was a great contribution. And there were some hilarious stories. It sounds very serious to you, but I have to tell you that every time Karen Smith had to have her hand out and it was to be seen by the audience, we would have to put some makeup on it because it didn't match the color of the puppet's face. So there's always in Karen's handbag, there was a tube of something called
Light
Egyptian.
Egyptian, yes. In Sydney, I went to the theatre. Oh, well, what was it? Where they rented costumes, where you bought theatre makeup, and I told them that I was a puppeteer in India, and I needed some stage makeup. And so we looked at all of the range of colors, and we came up with light Egyptian, and that would cover my hand. So anyway, that was a big.
That was a nice because, as you notice, a lot of the puppets were using the human hand, and so that's where we needed the makeup on Karen's hand, and she thought it was very important. But people were equally impressed with her puppeteering, with or without the light Egyptian. And then she was making a lot of the puppets, and especially the glove puppets. Any work which had to be done with cloth was something that Karen really brought a tremendous attention to detail and a lot of characterization. So here you are, Karen. Look carefully at this picture. And now look who's here today.
Yeah,
Manish, can you show them?
This was a story. There was a crow. There was a family of rabbits. Wow, he's quite senior now. This was back in the 1980s, the mid-1980s.
But can you see how good the craftsmanship was? Because yes, it's 40 years ago, and this puppet is still alive and well and still working.
Yeah, and see the khadi that we made the puppets out of khadi.
That's right.
Other fabrics that good. Oh. And you saw the big puppets because Ranjana was very good. If you saw the audiences where we performed in villages, we would have a lot of the children up in trees, sitting on walls. So Ranjana's puppets were very large, her big rod puppets that you saw, where our own hands would be used. And so they could be very expressive, do pick up things, do a lot of things because of the use of our own hand in one of the sleeves. And then my puppets, like when Ranjana did Kulum Kula, she asked me to work with her on making puppets because, again, for television or film, it's a much more closer medium, and so the puppets had to be more fine and detailed. So, we really complemented and supplemented each other. It was an amazing collaboration.
Yeah, Karen, it was a huge loss to Jan Madhav and to me when you moved away from India and you went off to Indonesia. But it gave me a chance to visit you and to explore Bali and Indonesia and Indonesian puppetry through your eyes and your contacts. So that was again a whole another area of discovery for you. So from Asia, you went to Southeast Asia.
Yeah. And that's, and again, puppetry was an amazing vehicle, to explore, to get to know a little bit about these incredibly rich, amazing cultures like India, like Indonesia. And, puppetry, which is such a multi-art, I was, when I first went there, I was teaching at high school and I took advantage. I was an English teacher and I was able to take gamelan lessons, Javanese gamelan, that's the orchestra, the chime orchestra and percussion.
You want to show some, do you have photographs of that, of the musical instruments?
I think there is in that.
PPT?
Yeah. So and then from that, I took classes in wayang kulit. This is the skin, the shadow puppets of Java, the Central Javanese. And initially, I didn't dare try because, the dalang are male, predominantly male. There are female dalang, but it is such a demanding, art form. I thought, no way, you know.
And when you say Dalang, Karen, Dalang is the master puppeteer. He is
That's the
the
master
central
puppeteer.
performer. Yeah.
He or she, yes.
Yes.
And if you go quickly through, I in December 2006 to January 2007, it was a month-long visit through.
Here are the musical instruments here.
Yeah,
This
here
is some of
these are my photographs, very bad. Yeah,
just
keep
keep
going.
going. Keep
Yeah,
going,
just go
Manish.
quickly.
Okay.
This is a woman. See the Dalang in the blue? Her father is a Dalang. She is also a Dalang. So there are women. It is Wati or Sri Rahayu Satyawati.
Yeah.
We brought her to India,
Good.
remember, in Delhi? She
Yes,
performed
yes, I
at
remember
the
that.
International
Yes.
Center. And her brother-in-law taught at the Indonesian Embassy. And anyway, yes, and he also, yeah, that's another story.
Yeah, this is another shadow puppet here. Here are the musical instruments.
Here is some of the music. These are, again, I apologize. You might want to see the little movie that has here. This is the another form of wayang. Golek are the three-dimensional puppets. These are the rod puppets.
Mm.
And Sunda is a region of
So
the island of Java. It's in West Java, different language. They do a lot of the stories, Ramayana, Mahabharata based, especially Mahabharata. And then there are other story cycles. But they have in Indonesia, like India, they have the kulit, the skin or the shadow puppets. They have the rod puppets, three-dimensional. They have the they have
gloves. They have the Chinese
the glove
gloves.
is from China. The wayang, but the
China.
he, it is because China has been part of South Asia and Southeast Asia for centuries, and they introduced the.
Wow, Karen, that's really rich. It's like we've all been to Indonesia and watched all the puppet shows. It's amazing. So really, your passion for documentation and for research has resulted in your being what should I say, a holder of so much information about Indonesian puppetry that it's a resource that as Unima, we always come to you for it. And we've even requested you to do lectures for a foundation course because you're almost like an authority on it. And you have a vast network of people that you know amongst this community, and you maintain the contacts. And this is what is absolutely remarkable, that you belong to so many continents: United States, Australia, India, and Indonesia. And you're a member of 3 Unimas. And you have been the president of Unima USA and the president of Unima International. And this is quite amazing that you have such a transcontinental connection. And I think that is what makes it really, really relevant, that you should have handled the WEPA in the past, and that you should be now doing the updation as well. So would you like to share a little bit about the challenge? I cannot even begin to imagine what it must be like to have to put together documentation about every single puppetry tradition in the world.
Well,
it's a huge task.
Yes. It was Dadi who, in 2010, in the council in Dordrecht, they needed somebody to take on the task of making the encyclopedia, which had come out in book form, a big publication in French. And the next phase was to make it in English and Spanish, the other two official languages of Unima. And also the task involved updating and correcting it, and putting it online. That was something people wanted, another book. And I said, no way, that would be 2 huge books. And also it was 80 euros and then like 60 euros to post it to, say, Australia. No one can afford it. That was the big French book. It had to be online because then it's free and it can be more easily updated, corrected. So when I took it on, thanks to Dadi, I must say the first several months I was like dumbstruck. I thought, what have I agreed to do? It just felt enormous. And then people like Kathy Foley from California, you know, she really, besides Ranjana and Dadi, she's my other, you know, great guru, you know, who just said, look, you know, don't be overwhelmed, you know, come up with a system and, you know, you'll be fine. And so, you know, I had to find, we started off with the English translation because that's something I could be, you know, before we did the Spanish. And then, you know, I realized that I forget, I've written somewhere what the percentage of articles were European. It was a large percentage. So one of the things I wanted to do, and Kathy Foley was very important in that, as well as Ranjana and Dadi and Anurupa, was to look at the other areas of the world, the Asia-Pacific region, Africa, Latin America. So really, most of the world. And we added about another 200 odd new articles. Also, the challenge was to update existing articles, and that was, say, you know, the national article. So if you look at India, you know, to ensure that, you know, some of these articles had been written, it came out in French in 2009. Maybe it had, the article had been written in 2005, say, and we brought out the online edition, trilingual edition, 2017. So there were a number of years to catch up and update. Another challenge was to get photographs, and there was no budget for that. And so, you know, we had to rely on people to give their photographs copyright free. Of course, they had to be acknowledged, you know, who was the owner or the photographer. And, you know, people had to sign a form. So, you know, even doing all of the photographs, you know, there were captions that had to also be prepared in the 3 languages. So anyway, it was a huge task. And I started in 2010, and it was in September 2017, it was finally launched online. And because also we had to then, there was no money for it. There was just money for the English and Spanish. We had to create the French version online, update that, correct that, etc. So again, that was a work of volunteers helped me with that because, you know, there was no money. So I was very grateful, you know, for those people to help with those translations. But it was a huge job. And I continue to read some of the articles and I find little errors, you know. I think the role of an editor never ends because you think you know what you're reading and your eyes, you know, miss out on a little spelling error or a misplaced punctuation.
But I think this is it's an ongoing task now. And I think the WEPA has to be, because technology is moving so quickly and it's working towards the benefit of inclusion. And so people are in a better position to access the WEPA and to contribute to it. Photography has become so much simpler, you know, recording is so simple. So maybe now the next step might be small videos which are embedded in the WEPA.
That's what I've been wanting. And again, this is something, unfortunately, again, there's no money in the Unima budget for this project. And there is some technical expertise, like even uploading any new material.
Yeah.
or going into existing and, you know, adding bits and pieces. And but this is something that's the challenge, because to embed, you know, video clips.
Yeah, that's true.
I
And
had,
then
you know, creating even the bibliographies for all the articles. In the French, that was just at the back of the book. And, you know, I said it has to be after each article. For some of them, I try to find videos and at least put the link, you know, in bibliographies.
Yeah.
So there's all sorts of things, you know, that can be done to enrich it. And that's where we need these dedicated volunteers to help me with it. You know, people who, you know, have these technical skills plus knowledge. And you know, with Anurupa being, you know, our vice president of Unima International, being the chair or the president of the Asia Pacific region, that's one of the areas that I personally do not tell the rest of the world, but I want to really start on is the Asia Pacific region. And one of the things we are doing, you know, Unima magazine, our first, well, not our first, there was the Eporsimueve magazine that Margareta Nicolescu had established. But we have this new magazine that came out first time mid last year for the Congress, Unima magazine. And that will continue to come out twice, every 2 years for a council, for a Congress. But for that, we did these biographies of all the members of honor. And Ranjana, as you know, is in 2025 was a member of honor, an Unima member of honor. So she is one of the people who, she had an entry in the WEPA already. Again, that was one of the new articles we added when I was working on it, was on Ranjana. So you've got to think of all of the other people who should have a biography.
Actually, there's a lot of work to be done and a lot of updating to be done. And I'm happy that some senior people are attending this talk, Karen. Ratnamala, Gaurang Das, all of you can actually contribute to it in a renewed fashion. And because we now have a lot more information about each of our regions, and it'll be wonderful to take an active interest. I remember when Karen used to write, repeatedly saying, you know, checking for spellings and asking us to update the articles. It just seemed like such a distant thing. I couldn't connect to it. And it was really difficult. But now, because of the internet, we are much better connected and the information is flowing so much better. So I think your task ahead is going to be easier, not more difficult.
Well, even you know, now that I'm on the WhatsApp, you know, for Unima Puppeteers Trust India. I mean, I'm bowled over with all of the activities, all of the, you know, it's the most active site on my little phone. And there's all those photographs, all of the, you know, the link.
Yes.
There's a lot happening.
The younger generation is also very proactive and they are extremely communicative, which is wonderful. But Karen, in this entire discussion, it has seemed to me, of course, you're a great inspiration. You inspired me to get back into reading and into, you gave me access to all the Puppetry International magazines, to all the books and the publications which I didn't have. And that really triggered my renewed interest in the academic side of puppetry and, you know, really getting into the information aspect. And I really thank you for that. I also wonder how you find the time to do all this wonderful handwork that you do. I don't think people know anything about what your inspiration was and how therapeutic it is. This is a new word I've learned in the last 10 years. Everything that we've done while we were doing it in Janmadhyam was actually therapeutic, not just for us, but for the people we were doing it for. And now Karen is doing all this wonderful embroidery, which is, how do you find time for all this? And where is the inspiration coming from? show us the others, Manish. Do you know that she is a very talented quilt maker? Not just the puppetry and not just the puppets, not just the costumes that she built, but the embroidery. Look at this quilt, this crazy quilt. I mean, it's fully creative and artistic. So Karen is a person of many, many, many parts, but I'm most impressed and jealous of this part.
Well, oh yes,
Look
the
at
little
you, doll.
girl. During,
Yeah.
well, when my granddaughters were born, but especially during COVID, I did a lot of making clothes for dolls and little quilts for dolls. And in fact,
Yeah.
I bought a doll and made all those clothes, you know, for Ranjana's granddaughter. Anyway, I have many, many, many of these projects. They are it's like meditation for me. I love making my hands. I love styles. And if I can't be working as a puppeteer with Ranjana or Dadi, well, I may as well be sewing or knitting or making something. Because otherwise, I spend all my puppetry time on the computer. You know, copy editor for the new journal of Unima USA, or working on the WEPA, or, you know, especially during being a president for those 4 years. So many Zoom meetings. And for me, most of them would start at 11 or 12 o'clock at night. Or if I was, you know, I was president twice of Unima USA, believe it or not. And because I was here, you know, I would be getting up at like 4:30 a.m. for meetings in the
This
US.
is because you live in Australia.
I live in the wrong place. Yeah, Australia is, you know, just too far east. So anyway, this is my therapy. And I just like making things. I like working with color and design and
Wonderful, wonderful, Karen. This is something which you can teach all of us, is that you must make time to do
yes,
something with your hands. I think that's really wonderful.
definitely. And I think as you get older, I realize, you know, in fact, at times I get tired of having to, you know, copy edit and worry about punctuation and you know, and spelling. But I think it keeps the brain working, and doing things with the hands is the hand-brain connection is so interlinked. And as you get older, it's really important to keep both moving and active in a way that gives joy, you know, gives pleasure.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Karen. I think we've had a wonderful, wonderful, deep insight into Karen Smith and her journey. A very, very rich and varied journey you've had, Karen. And now I think I should ask, there are some people who've been watching with great interest, and I hope they have lots of questions. Let's ask them if they have any. Manish, are you there?
Yes.
Yeah. Are there any questions? Do we have anybody watching?
Yeah. Can I ask? Karen,
Of
do
course,
you
please.
teach? Do you teach? Do you teach what you have been doing, all this handwork and all that?
Well, actually, when I lived in Bangladesh for 4 years, and that's when I learned to do quilting. And these are, you know, bed covers, quilts. You know, so it's patchwork or it's applique. And so in Bangladesh, I then taught, and these were women from a local slum. I taught them to do quilting so they could earn an income. And it's again something I learned from Ranjana too, through Janmadhyam. You know, working with women, if women can bring money into the family, the money would go into the children's mouths. And ideally the mothers and sisters' mouths. And so I taught quilting to, and it was initially 4 women in this slum in Dhaka. And then I was asked to teach another group of women and to do quilting, and we did little quilts, And there we connected with a cottage industry, Ideas International, which would then sell the quilts, and we would get commissions, to make quilts. In Indonesia, when we were there, in 1997, I believe, there was the big financial collapse. The taka went, no, the rupiah fell from around 2,000 rupiah to the US dollar to almost 18,000. So a lot of people lost work. And I worked with a group of women who lost their jobs in factories making school uniforms. And that's how I got into making cloth dolls. I'd cut out the doll bodies, I'd stitch them up, I'd cut out the fabric for clothes, I'd stitch them up, and then I'd create the doll. Then I was asked to work with a home for unwed mothers. These were girls that got pregnant, or either raped, or their boy got pregnant to their boyfriends, and then the guy went off and the girls were disowned. And it was a local church that was helping these women, and they asked me to teach them quilting. And so for them, I did little quilts, doll quilts. That's how I got into the little quilts, because it had to be something that they could do quickly. It had to be something that was kind of cute or lovely, for them to feel good about themselves. And so again, it was kind of therapy for them, because their lives had been. And so actually teaching these crafts, so not so much the puppetry, there I've done it more, giving exhibitions in California, in India, Indonesian, at the IGNCA, at the Indian International Center, the arts craft, and that was an exhibition of Indonesian wayang. But more making, these dolls, making these quilts. And again, I connected with the work that I did with Ranjana at John Madhyam. It was not just that the puppetry was there for its own sake, and, but it also had a, social, what do you call it? Purpose. And so that for me was very inspiring. So, not puppetry as such. When I was a high school teacher in Costa Rica, I did puppet plays with the students. I taught the Odyssey and Gilgamesh and myths and legends of various countries, and we told stories through puppets. But that was, so I don't know if I answered your question as far as the teaching.
Yeah. No, but you didn't try your hand at making puppets from these crochet and things like that. This handwork that you were doing.
Well, I made puppets with Dadi's company, with Ranjana's company. And Ranjana and I did workshops where we got, there was that, a couple of workshops where we had students, young people, making puppets, whether we did several with shadow puppets. And
yeah. In fact, we were invited by Ajit Iyencheri to Kerala to do a shadow puppetry workshop. And then we did shadow puppets in Delhi with some kids coming from the South Delhi slums.
Yeah, what was it? CARE? No, was the company. Remember,
It was a big NGO.
It was a big NGO.
Yeah.
That was like a
plan. Yeah.
CAS plan. That was it, CAS plan.
That's right. And but the most memorable, Karen, was teaching Puran's son how to do contemporary puppetry, because Puran's eldest son was giving him a lot of grief as a teenager And he thought, okay, I'm going to send them to Karen and to Ranjana to teach. And that was one of the first experiences I had of teaching a young traditional Bharat puppeteer on, what it was all about. And we taught him how to carve and to paint and to do papier-mâché and all the things in your Barsati upstairs. So Karen's home in Delhi was like a workshop and a rehearsal space. And that's where we used to gather to do a lot of our work.
Yes,
Yeah,
I remember.
so Karen, you have been like you remember that time, yeah.
Yes, I remember he couldn't believe we would save every little thing. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
It was for stuffing, and he couldn't believe we were things that
Yes,
they would throw away, we would say because of utility.
But it's something, it's a good value. And to all puppeteers, I would say that you never know what will come in handy in your construction of puppets. And so the tiniest bit of material, or the tiniest bit of foam, or the tiniest bit of anything, odds and ends, are always kept very carefully. This is what I also learned, was to keep them carefully, because it just might be the missing part in whatever you're trying to make. So
We end up
value.
keeping a lot of junk.
So periodically you have to sort through it, but you do keep it because it's valuable. I had a bag full of Rexine bits, because it was difficult to come across. And when you wanted it for a tongue or for ears or something, you didn't have it. So you keep junk, but that's what it's like. You're a kabadi if you're a puppeteer.
So it is very nice to hear about all your journey. You've been doing a lot of work. Very interesting to know all about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ratnamala.
Thank you. Thank you, Ratnamala ma'am, for your question. Any other question in the audience? Or any comment, any thought?
I don't have a question, but thank you for the session. It's I've been away from puppetry for a long time, and as Ranjana mentioned, we had a very good time in Kerala teaching young children making puppets, and I'm gradually coming back to that, more workshops, and then more involved in puppetry, and I will be in touch maybe for the next training session or in Kerala. So thank you for this. Sharing your experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ajit ji.
Yeah, good to see you, Ajit.
Thank you, Karen.
There was a comment from Dharanya, one of the people who was watching. She loved your quilts, Karen.
Oh, thank you. And again, I was very fortunate living in India and Indonesia, where there are so many wonderful fabrics.
That's right.
They became the inspiration of the quilts.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, Riddhi, you want to say something?
Yeah, thank you, Karen. It was a really inspiring session. And I mean, especially because I am into puppetry because of making, because I was also fond of making, and that's why I came into puppetry. So, I mean, it was really an inspiring session. I mean, don't have a specific question, but I'm just wondering that because you have so many varied experiences, have you written a book on your experiences apart from documenting the research? Because I mean, I think people like me would want to read your experiences, because you have had such varied journeys in different continents, different parts of the world, and you have met so many different puppeteers.
Well, maybe Ranjana and I should do that together. What is
you
good?
You can do this.
Biography in demand.
Yeah, but no, it's good. You forget a lot of things. It's
that's true.
And so to be prompted, some of Ranjana's questions or were reminders, and yeah, every now and then I think it'd be good to, to write all these down. And then I think, well, who'd be interested in that? But,
I think it's a great suggestion, Karen, and I think there will be people interested. So give it a thought.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
Or I get too old and the old gray cells start seizing up on me.
So do it right away.
So I have one question, since you are the honorary member of 3 international centers, USA, Australia, and India. So we want to learn from you, how should we encourage more members and their role in Unima?
Well, I think if somebody like me could be a member of Unima, you just have to, well, the best thing for me about Unima is the friendships. And I remember, without the friendships, it would just be an organization. But, maybe I'm old-fashioned or sentimental, but it really is. It's the friendships. We were together when Unima India was created in 1986.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
That's Michael Mishke and the Indian International Center talking about the creation of the National Center. And we were right there, and we didn't know really what we were getting into as far as Unima, you were doing your puppetry thing and Dadi was doing his, but again, he'd had connections, and I'm sure you did too. He certainly did, in his work in Europe and about Unima and about Charleville-Mézières, the festivals there. And of course, through Meher Contractor. But I think puppetry is the perfect organization, because puppetry has so many different aspects to it. The theater, the storytelling, the making, the music, the dancing, the creating the plays, working with young people, working with the elderly, working with anybody, using applying puppetry. I mean, it's just so more and more, especially if you're in a country that has these really old, rich traditions. I mean, compared to Australia, which, unless it's the Aboriginal culture, we're all migrants from elsewhere. And, some have brought their puppetry traditions, but more or less, you don't really have it, like you do in India or China or Indonesia or Japan or, just to name a few countries. But, if you're interested in culture, if you're interested in ethnomusicology and anthropology and myths and legends and folk tales, or puppetry has it all. And I think it's important, when you not selling the idea of Unima, but it is a place that anyone can be part of. You don't have to be a puppeteer. You don't have to be a scholar. You don't have to be able to make puppets or teach it. You just have to be interested in it. And then you meet these amazing people and you learn.
Yeah, and Karen, I'm so happy you're saying this, because, this is the feedback we've got from all the teaching experiences that Unima has had, whether it was master classes or the foundation or the puppet, outcome has really been a networking amongst like-minded people, with each one sharing this passion for puppetry. And it becomes like a true resource, because each one is otherwise in their own little bubble, in their own tradition, very comfortable in their community. But this platform gives everybody the opportunity to meet, to exchange, to rely on each other, to have sounding boards, and without any competition and without any fear of judgment. And I think that is really so rich and so rare in today's world, that it's an enormously important selling point, Manish, that, this is a platform for friendship and networking.
And that's how I came into puppetry with Dadi. First of all, Ram, permitted me to. She said, you must be full-time. And my idea was of being volunteer was not being paid, but I had to be full-time. But, I hadn't done puppets before, but I was fully accepted. And it is that sense of acceptance. And, I'm sure there are puppet companies around the world that can be a little bit, not so inclusive. But, to make it, kind of the world of puppetry as inclusive as possible is, I think, the gift of Unima, and when we lose that and it becomes competitive, or you've got to be great, or, and a trailblazer or a big name, I think you lose.
You lose the essence. You lose the essence. Yeah.
Yes.
So does that answer your question, Manish?
Yes. And with time, we will learn and feel it more to the core. It is open-ended answer.
Yeah, well, Manish is a foundation product. He's a Unima foundation training graduate, right? And he came
Yes.
into puppetry from theater.
First
So
edition
you're
of foundation.
Yeah.
And I was mad about things like
So
puppetry,
thank you
most
again,
importantly with
Karen.
tools. Yeah. There is one more question in the chat box from Dharanya. He want to see the mouse again. And is it the quilt?
It's not a quilt. No, Dharanya.
It's a puppet.
It's a beautiful cloth puppet. It's a glove puppet. See, he has a glove underneath. Yeah, and then he has clothes on top. And the head is stuffed with cotton wool, because you didn't even get fiber wool in those days.
I know.
Yeah, so it's cotton. And the inner, in which I'm putting my fingers, is also lined with cotton. So, and it's so comfortable and light and well made, and kept its shape because of the, Dharanya, I know you're very interested in making. So look at how the face is sculpted.
I know. That's why I thought it is quilted, because it looks so.
Yep. Yeah. And it has kept its shape. I mean, of course, I keep my puppets well, but even so, he can be squashed. So his ears have got a bit squashed, okay? But even his tail is intact. Look.
Do you know?
Is it hand stitched? Is this hand?
Yeah. It's Karen. It's these stitching. The stitching on the face is hand stitched.
Okay.
Yeah.
But how is the ear standing up like this and not floppy? I mean, like, what is inside the ear?
Nobody put a bit of wire in it. I mean, can you?
That's right. That's wire.
Do you want to hear a funny story? Behind these rabbits, I was known as the Chuha lady. When I first went to when I first lived in India, 82 to 87, I had a pattern of making mice. And I used to make all these mice. And I had a couple of people wanted me to make mice for their wedding cake. So I would have mice dressed in, wedding regalia. I even had to make a Bharatanatyam mouse.
Bharatanatyam mouse, yeah. And then you went into a series of very cute mice.
So I did a lot of mice, and then somehow, me as the Chuha lady came out in which bhavan it is. They had a big exhibition, a sign. It was a conference, a biology conference in Delhi, and I was commissioned to make a rat, a big, a larger than life size, anatomically correct rat. And I remember think, oh my God, how did they get my name? I mean, to make a rat. Anyway, I made this rat and I had a few prototypes. So when I had to make this family of rabbits, it was mother, father, a daughter, and a little brother. I kind of adapted my rat, my big rat. Anatomically correct. I didn't include the anatomy. But of course, it had to be, a glove puppet. But yes, so yes, animal puppets, glove puppets seem to have become my forte in those early years living in Delhi.
Yeah.
Quite interesting. So yeah, I think there is no more question in the chat. And shall we ask everybody if they can turn on their video and we can have one screenshot photos together. I also need to get.
Can I put?
Yes, include Khargosh. Is it? Is rabbit Khargosh?
Yes, but we had named him Motu.
Motu, that's right.
Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
5, 4. Puppetry. Yeah. So thank you so much, Karen ma'am. Thank you so much, Ranjana ma'am, to bring this together, this beautiful, inspiring journey. And yeah, we learned a lot, and we definitely want to learn again from you in person, if possible, as a master class in Unima, hopefully, because we missed you in this foundation, second foundation. Really missed you.
No, I must return. It's been too long.
Yes. We are looking forward to that, Karen.
So rest of all, these are our contacts again. You can find these recorded Anubhav on our YouTube channel. We are present on Insta and Facebook too. And email is puppeteertrust@gmail.com. You can reach us on our website, and we have all the Sutradhar editions published so far and ready to download. You can download it on your own and read in your good time. We have newsletters published with all the updates so far, and we have here with the all playlist on our YouTube channel. So this was Anubhav 11 with Honorable Karen Smith ma'am. Thank you so much to joining us here, and thank you everyone who joined and made it fruitful session. This was Anubhav 11. Yes, Unima Puppetry Trust India signing out.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Everybody.
Thank you so much.